When we first brought home this 1976 GMC motorhome, it really wasn't running well. And so our very first priority was just to get the truck running. And that priority list has changed throughout the course as we developed through different stages of this project. At one point, when it was running well, we went through this stage right here, which was to remove all that pre-existing as much as we could to get down to a blank slate of a truck. After that, the priority was to make it look like a truck, and that included fabrication of the cab and the deck and all the different components that will turn this into a truck. Now, last week's episode you're watching here involved making the truck look a little better. The aesthetics, the fine-tuning of the external of the truck. Paint, beautiful paint, and wheel covers, as you've seen here, that just transform this truck from something that looks raw and unrefined to something real nice. And cover. After that, we returned to some of the final pieces of the puzzle of the outside of this truck, and that was a full custom exhaust build right from scratch. Now, throughout all the work we've done on this truck so far, there's one part of the vehicle that we've really been denying or avoiding. There's one part of this project that has not been touched to this point, and that is the interior.
You got a few kits, huh?
Hey? Hot tamale.
Yeah.
When I first bought this 1976 GMC, it had been sitting for over 10 years, parked, closed up, unused. And you can imagine some of the smells from the inside when we opened the doors. Now, we actually had to fabricate a large percent of the cabin on this vehicle once we tore off that motorhome. So the cabin also took some weather beating and was just in rough shape, and we haven't done anything with the inside to that point. The truck is solid. Most of the internal components are in good shape, but everything is just rough and damaged and ugly, and it needs some serious work. Although the dash is in good shape, we have some hanging remains of audio equipment, and everything's dirty and dusty, and with mold in some cases. We have holes in some of the door panels. It just needs some serious work. And so that is exactly what we're going to take care of in this episode, and you don't want to miss it, because we're going to complete this truck today. Now, I just spent the last hour mapping out a couple of beauties here. The last big construction project for the truck, and that is the rear panels. Now, given all the geometry and everything that's going on with the truck, the curved sides, it wasn't easy to get these done. The trick is to map it all out with Bristol board, and that way you can sketch and bend corners and then trim corners with your scissors and test fit it easily. It's not heavy or bulky to work in there, and you can just slip everything in and test and cut and test and cut. If you trim a little bit off, it's not a deal breaker. The key is to take your time with the layout part. Anything with templates, when you're doing a project where you can make a template, spend all the time you have working on that. If the project is a whole 100%, spend 70% of the time creating the perfect template if you can. And then after that, it all becomes quite simple. show you how to reupholster pretty much anything. A nice way to wrap rough woods and things, trim for the boat, trim panels for the truck, whatever. If you build up a little console unit for the side-by-side or the quad, whatever it might be, this is like a foolproof, easy way to make it look fantastic.
King Canada has been bringing quality machinery, tools, and equipment to the North American market for over 38 years. They offer innovative products for all applications, for the industrial and commercial setting, as well as the homeowner and hobbyist. King Canada is a sponsor of the Newfoundland Hobbyist.
Now, you'll need your vinyl. This is just your general, like, hardware store vinyl. Nothing special. This is black. You can get different kinds of colors, but this is good stuff. The thicker it is, the harder it is to work with. But, of course, you'll need your vinyl. You also need a spray contact cement. This is real nice stuff, 3M Super 77. I've also used the Elmer brand stuff, and I've used cheap, like, no-name store stuff, and they all work about the same, just fine. You will need some sort of stapler or staple gun. This one here is plenty of strong. Of course, you can get the electric ones where you don't have to work near so hard, but this is just a manual stapler. Works perfectly well. Now, this part is not mandatory, but it can really help, especially if you have a lot of corners and bends. You'll see how much more supple the vinyl becomes with just a little bit of heat applied. You can really work it a lot harder. Now, this final piece of the pie I'm going to show you here is the key to making it all look nice. And without this, it is hard to make it look nice. And this is what allows you to wrap anything. This is some spongy, like felt, fleecy, woolly type material. This particular stuff is like quilting, you know, for making your own quilts. So I got this at, you can get this at pretty much any fabric store along with the vinyl, but this is the key to making a smooth finish. So right here, the first piece, very simple. Whatever item you're doing, having rounded corners adds to reliability over time, because you're kind of stretching the vinyl a little bit. Now, this stuff will help, but you're going to stretch the vinyl, so the harsher those corners are, the more chance you'll have that break point, you know, could wear through. This stuff will help big time. But what you want to do is throw your part down, take a rough cut, and remember, you're going to have material go over. You want to wrap around, and you want all your dirty stuff on the inside. So here's the front of the part. We're going to put it in like this. We're going to wrap it kind of like this. Now, rough spray the inside side of your wool or felt, whatever material you have. Not going to need a lot. It's pretty light, so it sticks pretty easily. And then you're going to glue that front side of this part. Try to get it around the corners a little bit so it sticks to the corners. Now, this stuff dries really quick, so now if you have your felt nice and flat, you can go ahead and press it in. Don't have any wrinkles, because obviously it'll hold to the wrinkles. You don't want that. Now, your next step, now while you have the back up, just go ahead and give it a perimeter spray, because you're going to pull it in and stick it on the back. So, little perimeter spray. Now, you can kind of pick whatever side you want. I usually start with the middle of the longest straights, and you want to work your way out. So you're not going to draw this in extremely hard to like tear the fabric or anything, but you're going to pull it so you have nice shapely corners. You don't want these edges here kind of baggy or loose, so just tuck those in. Don't go right to the corner, so we're going to need a little room to work there. And this is how we can cover up this old dirty plywood. Even though I paid for a better grade, still all garbage. Full of knots and what a mess. Unless you pay for like premium oak or birch or something, you're getting garbage. Now on the corners, I don't like to fold like birthday gift style. You could do that, but with something as supple, let's get this apart here, as this, I like to kind of work around the corner like that. See how I did that? And then we can cut out some of this bulk and throw a staple in it. And that's how I like to do it. Just like that there. Again, we'll cut out this bulk. And that's what you want it to look like now from the front side. You can see all those corners are nice and soft, nice and tight. There's no bagging or ripples, because if you do have that, it'll show through. But look at that. On the back side, it just happened that I cut it long enough both sides come together, but it didn't need to be like that. Now you repeat about the same process, so we want excess all the way around. And again, this is the back side, so it doesn't have to be super clean. Spray down your vinyl. And we also have our component lightly spray tacked as well. We'll throw this down, flip it over immediately. Make sure we didn't stick it down with any ripples or anything. And look, you can look at this face right now already and see, look how cloudy and smooth that looks. It's not all ripply, you're not seeing any weird stuff in there. It's just nice. Back over. Now, as soon as it starts getting tacky, we can start working these sides in. Be a little more careful, you aren't drawing too much in one area to kind of pull in, you know, to cause a problem. A nice even tension. Look at that nice soft edge we have there. Just beautiful. This is gonna be nice. And this is where that glue really helps you, because if you had to just rely on staples here, it'd be hard to control the tension. And now I can peel it off and stick it back down if I see something's a little too slack or a little too tight. That glue is the real deal. Now we'll do the exact same thing, so I'm going to pull that middle. Now this is a little bit tricky of a part in the sense that you have two corners so close together. That does make it a little bit difficult. But now you have this pinch here. Remember, I want to break that up into at least two. So you could just do that. But now is where I'm going to bring in a little bit of heat. Now be careful with this, because the vinyl really reacts to the heat. It goes really soft. If you were doing like a motorcycle seat cover or something, throw your roll of vinyl, your piece of vinyl, in the oven for just a couple minutes in the lowest possible temperature. Look how soft and supple that is now. Look how tight I can draw that. Now you can overstretch it here at this point and cause problems, but look how I was able to bring that into a bunch of little folds. You see that? Instead of two bigger folds, so I was able to break it down even more. Get that corner. Again, this is the back side, not too big a deal, and we'll worry about the about this bulk later. We'll cut that out. Yeah, look how supple that gets, how you can start to draw that. Look at the stretchiness that comes in the vinyl there. It cools off pretty quick too, so you want to get on it. But look how I was able to draw that. See? Bunch that all up. And look at that from the front side. You can see right there in the light, couple little draws, but because it's foam and vinyl, you can kind of relax that out and just have a nice finished look. See all those corners? See, even from the sides, they look lovely because we've done all of our dirty work on the back here. Now with those interior panels beautifully upholstered and curing, we're gonna have to make that cab look a little better to suit them, and I've chose to paint this cab Cummins beige, and this tan color is one of my favorite interior colors. I've had a couple vehicles with this color in my life, and I just love a tan interior. I just think it turned out beautifully. We got a lovely finish with that Worth brand paint, which I find makes incredible products. Now we're going to go on to painting the doghouse here, because as you can see, that's a little rough looking as well. From brutal offshore drilling platforms all the way to the homeowner and hobbyist, Lincoln Electric's 125 years of experience provides the quality you need to get the job done right. The Newfoundland Hobbyist is sponsored by Lincoln Electric. And now on to the interior electronics. I was just going to spring for an ultra cheap Amazon package, just a stereo deck and a couple speakers for $50, but I decided we've put so much into this truck, I want to go ahead and actually put a nice sound system. So I picked up a real nice Pioneer sound system for this, and I actually had to mill a new faceplate because the hole in the dash of this truck had been cut so roughly that I had to craft a new faceplate, and I did that with 1/4-inch brass. Then I moved on to making some speaker panels, some speaker holders, just like we did with all the other interior panels. And I cut them out and roughed them out like you see here, nice and rough. But watch again how you can upholster things using this method that I showed. Just beautiful results, a nice, soft, cushy looking panel, a premium feel to give this truck what it deserves. Look at that finish meeting up with the tan there. So classy. Now I'm only too happy to reinstall some of this factory vinyl in the truck. These seats are so beautiful to me. The high back seats, the tan, and then on the front that plaid inlay, just gorgeous. These seats are great shape, but they do need a little work.
So this is all done and clean around the front here, but around the side, you can see all in through the grain here. Here's where I haven't touched yet. Look at that, see the dirt in there, the grit, all up through the side here, the same thing. Got to get that out of there. Century Welding is an online Canadian outlet for premier welding and cutting machines, equipment, and related accessories and replacement parts. Shop for your welding machines and accessories, consumables, and even your safety apparel. The Newfoundland Hobbyist is sponsored by Century Welding.
Now, one of the final pieces of this puzzle was to install a backup camera. And I really felt like this truck needed a backup camera, because once you get something sizable up on the flat deck, like the side-by-side for example, you can't just look out the back window and see what's going on behind you. It's also going to be helpful for a few other reasons. Of course, it's very handy. The more visual you can have, the more convenient it is. I chose a camera system from a company called HaloView. I'm just really pleased with the quality, but their bracket was not designed for the type of face mounting that I wanted to do with the truck, and so I had to custom mill this bracket. And this is where a milling machine just really shines. You can put a factory look and design on so many different things that would be tough to do without it.
So you can see that little relief cut there I made with the mill.
You can see this install started back before we painted the truck, and here is the finished look with that face mount. So beautiful. The cabling ran through the headliner, and this center location up here between the sun visors just seemed like the perfect mounting spot. The reinstall in the finished cabin, a little wiring and electrical, and we have a functioning camera on this truck. How cool is that?
And so our custom flat deck hauler is complete, and I couldn't be more pleased. Those restored high back seats, pristine, just beautiful. Everything is working beautifully, full detailing, fresh paint on the doghouse. We have the VHF radio installed. We have the Pioneer sound system, all the back custom upholstery done by ourselves. Of course, we work through this together here. We have Pioneer speakers in the door. We have Pioneer speakers in the columns here behind the seats. We have a large monitor, high definition rear view camera system. We have two different cameras, one right behind the cab looking down at the bed, one on the very back, our drop panel on the deck. And I can just, with a switch of the button, just switch between angles, so you can have a look at your hitch if you're backing up, or I actually use the deck view even more because it's more common that I'm carrying like supplies or something on the back, and I can just keep an eye without having to be turning around all the time looking out the window. I can just watch everything as it's moving or not moving, hopefully, on the deck. And so, I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Newfoundland Hobbyist and the completion of the truck build series. I'm so proud of this build, and I learned more than I could have ever imagined. The number of skills, the amount that I've developed, the skills that I already had throughout this project, the project planning, the contacts that I've made, all from a project of this scale. I just can't even begin to describe. But of course you've been here along the way and you've watched all the videos, so perhaps you do have a good grasp of just how much a project like this entails and how much you can learn from it. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for watching, making this project and this show possible. I'd like to give a big shout out to my sponsors who help make projects like this and this show possible. If you're in need of any of their products, I'd appreciate you go and show them your support on my behalf. As always, make sure you tune in next week to the Newfoundland Hobbyist.